Hello, arcade gamers, and welcome back to Biggie D's Arcade. Today we're going to do my 37th Chill and Chat live on a Sunday evening. And I want to first say hi to everyone who's made it, who's in the chat. We've got a really big night lined up, a lot of really cool information I'm going to be sharing with you guys. But I want to get into first just saying hi to everyone, get that out of the way real quick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, just going to say hi to everyone real quick. Carl O's here. Good to see you, Carl. We also had some messages come in earlier today. It looks like those got wiped. But I saw Jason and Kevin were the first two to message, and then Carl would be our third. JJ's here. Good to see you, JJ. Papa Brad's Gaming. PD7. Good to see you, man. Donnie B is here. He's saying Time Splinters. That is the theme song. Like when you guys first watch my live stream, you see the countdown, that music. Some people have wondered what that came from. It came from this game. So if you guys are curious on that, he called that out and saw it. Good to see you, Donnie. Glad you made it. Kevin's here. So we didn't get his first message, but we're seeing it now. Talking with PD7 about some things. Let's see here. Kurt Mason's here as well. Good to see you, Kurt. And Andy's Game Room. Bad Guy Mike Worley. Got a lot of people here. And normally this is a little bit of a late start, especially for the East Coast, but we've got Labor Day tomorrow. So this is perfect for a late night chill and chat. Many people that have to go to bed around this time can probably stay up late tonight. And we can talk about Arcade 1-Up, home arcades. Mainly it's going to be Arcade 1-Up tonight. So, and you guys may see a little bit of a smile on my face. And that's because I got an inside source now with Arcade 1-Up. Yep, believe it or not, I have an inside source. And I spent probably about 2 hours with having a meeting with this source last night. So I've got like a whole book of information that I need to cover with you guys tonight. This is my first opportunity to be able to do this. And we'll see how this goes. They want to first, see how I prepare this information and deliver it. And then that'll kind of determine my part in this moving forward. But it is pretty cool stuff. I mean, I'm learning some really inside, behind the scenes information about Arcade 1-Up and what's going on. And it's my job. It's my opportunity right now to deliver that live on air to you guys. So this is a really big deal for me and for everyone else who's watching tonight. So let's go ahead and get into this. I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to beat around the bush getting into this stuff because we got a lot to cover tonight. So let's go ahead and start. So what this is this is going to start with the Arcade 1-Up leaked list. Okay, you guys may have seen online this week, there's been a lot of videos, really good ones. PD7, Bad Guy Mike Worley, Bill's Retro Show. A lot of really good videos on this leaked list that was, I think it originally came from Reddit, and that's where it all started. But let's pause for 1 minute because what's more important than this information is going to be these super chats that come in because these help support the channel. So I really appreciate you, Kevin, sending over the $2. That's really going to help towards our goal of getting the DJI mic before Cleveland here in just a few weeks. He said, that's awesome. Let's hear it. So he's ready to hear this information and we're going to get into it. But let's run this real quick super chat video. Appreciate the $2. All right, so getting into a leaked list here, and I think what kind of sparked this whole conversation and me getting this inside source was from this leaked list this week. I think Arcade 1-Up wants us to have accurate information. They want us to have, I guess, more collaborative information where we're not like speculating all the time. We're not misleading anyone on what possibly could be happening or what is going on. It's better just to give you guys the facts and give you guys the real information. Speculation's fun. I enjoy it. I've done pretty well with those videos. But tonight, this is not speculation. This is fact. We're going to get in and go through all this with you tonight. So this is the release list, the 2024 release list that we've been seeing in these videos this week. And let's go through these. Smash TV, Robotron 2084, TMNT Cowabunga Collection, Track and Field, Star Wars XL, AVP Big Blue version 2, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha Legacy, MVC2 XL, SNK Big Red XL, OffRoad 3 Player XL, Lethal Enforcers, PacMan Royale, and 720. Now these, you can see they've done a lot of short names for these. They're not spelt out. Some of these like Legacy, they don't even do a Legacy anymore. Let's see, PacMan Royale, that should be PacMan Battle Royale. But we all know what these games are and what they mean by this list. So let's get into, and what I'm going to start with you guys. Hey, it looks like Brent has made it. I wanted to say hi to you, Brent, the winner of our countercade and our contest giveaway just a few weeks ago. That was pretty cool. And Cornercade saying he's already got those DJI mics. That's a lot of the reason why I'm going to be buying them, Cornercade, is I watch you on your streams. You sound great in them. Also saw, who was it, Justin Console Kids. He also has been using them. He used them at San Diego Comic-Con with John D. Really good sound, even with the loud, convention going on behind him. So those are the ones I'm getting. But let's get back into this. So what I'm going to do with you guys is I'm going to first give you the games that are coming next year. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to give you guys a list of what's not coming out of these games. So what's really cool about this list is accurate. Okay. It is the games that they were considering for next year. However, there's a lot of these that aren't going to make it for a number of reasons. And then there's a few of these games that are going to make it next year. And I'll tell you why and what we're getting with these. Okay. The first one is going to be Smash TV. So we're going to get a Smash TV cabinet next year. When this is going to be, what the price is going to be, all that's still left to be determined. But we know we're getting Smash TV. What games are we getting? We're getting Smash TV, Robotron 2084, and Total Carnage. What's it going to look like? So it's going to look two different ways. You're going to have the option of either a Robotron 2084 skin or a Smash TV skin. However, the cabinet is going to be identical other than the skin. So there won't be any differences. There won't be any changes in the way the cabinet design is. It is just a skin. So it will be a 2-player deck. It'll be the Smash TV deck with the Robotron artwork on it. But you'll have your option. So I thought that was really cool. It gives us the ability to pick which artwork we want on the cabinet. And we're getting all 3 of the games that we want with this cabinet. I did hear Mike B complain a little bit and be a little upset with the fact that if they do a Robotron skin, it's still going to have the 2-player game deck. So it's not giving you that arcade accurate feel, even though it has the artwork. So I understand that. I think the Smash TV is going to be the most popular one anyways. I mean, that's the one that most people remember. It was the more popular game. And like I grew up in the 90s, so I remember Smash TV, where I don't really remember Robotron. I think there'll just be more buyers for the Smash TV, and I think that's probably the reason why they went with the 2-player game deck. And then also there's a lot of costs, so that's something else I need to bring up. Something with these new releases and something that's really important to them are development costs. Development costs can range anywhere from $200,000 to $600,000 in development costs for a new game. So when they start doing different types of game decks, so if they go from a 2-player game deck to a 1-player game deck for Robotron, that adds the development costs. That just makes that price that much higher for them to bring us these arcade titles and these cabinets. So they're always thinking about how can we get these development costs down. Now, one thing we've saw and something that they've been doing this year is they've been able to get their development costs down on a couple of cabinets. And that was with Fast and the Furious. And there was one other one that they had. They had help. Basically, Time Crisis. Time Crisis. So both Time Crisis and Fast and the Furious had development help from Namco and Raw Thrills. So this $200,000 to $600,000 development cost that they're typically seeing on these cabinets when they release a new product, that wasn't that high with Fast and the Furious and with Time Crisis. So there are ways around this. If the developer really wants this game to come out, they can work around that and get them to cover and foot some of this bill. We know Eugene Jarvis wants this cabinet out there. We know he owns Raw Thrills. He's the creator of this. He doesn't own Smash TV. He doesn't own Robotron 2084. That is owned by Midway Games. And basically what will happen, though, is if Eugene Jarvis wants this cabinet to be made, which I've learned he does, Midway will basically sign off on it. They'll give them the go-ahead to go ahead and do this because they're basically going to allow it to happen as long as Eugene's on board, which he is. So they've got the help with this one of Eugene Jarvis. They've got Midway backing it because they want to back Eugene Jarvis. So this is going to happen. This is one where all the pieces fell together and it allowed it to happen. Kevin just sent over another $3 super chat. I super appreciate that money, Kevin. That's $5 just tonight from Kevin alone. That's going to go to this DJI mic that I'll have in Cleveland. So let's pull that video up, run that one more time. Appreciate the $5, the $2, and the $3 equaling $5 so far. Thank you. Okay, so back to where we're at. So this one's happening. Let's move on to the next one that's going to happen off this list. The next one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection. I was speaking with some people too about this Cowabunga collection. I was talking to PD7, and he had a really good question about this one today. He wanted to know about the artwork. What are we going to get? The original game? Are we going to get like a Cowabunga collection type artwork on this cabinet? And from my discussions last night, I had thought we were going to get the Cowabunga collection artwork because it just made sense. That was what was on the cover of the game. But I actually reached back out to this source one more time before the stream this evening, and I'd learned they're going with the OG Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So if you're a fan of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles artwork, that's what you're going to get. But once you load up the game, you're going to get the Cowabunga collection menu, Cowabunga collection games list. So let's take a look at what games those are going to be. It's going to be the same exact collection you're getting on your Switch or your PS5 or your Xbox, which are your 4 NES titles. You're also going to get 3 Game Boy titles, a Genesis title, in addition to the licenses and games they've already released, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade and the Turtles in Time arcade game. So this is going to be a pretty good cabinet. I mean, it's going to have 10 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games on it. A lot of these we remember playing on the consoles, and then having those arcade titles on there. It's just a complete cabinet. It is going to be missing Shredder's Revenge, however. Shredder's Revenge is a totally different license. It's a totally different, like what it would take to get that to happen would be totally different, is how I'll put it. So that one is not going to be on the cabinet. This is the same exact games list you get on the Cowabunga collection. So very simple. If you have that game already or you've already played it, you're going to have those games with the original artwork. Now, these cabinets that I'm telling you that are coming, the reason that these are coming is that they believe that they're going to sell. They believe that these are going to sell at minimum 3,000 units. That is like their entry point for making a new cabinet. It has to sell 3,000 units. They believe these could easily sell over 3,000. So these are sure bets. They're taking very little risk with these cabinets. I actually, of the ones I've told you so far, Smash TV is probably the most risk they're going to take all year next year. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they know it's going to sell. They have data on that, so they know what to expect. But little risk on all of these so far. So next, let's get into what's coming on this list, which is third on that, what's coming, which is going to be the Star Wars XL. Now, Star Wars XL, again, is another re-release. They have the data on it. They easily know it's going to sell. It's a safe bet. They don't have to risk much with these releases. So expect an XL Star Wars next year. Now, let's talk about why they're going to do a Star Wars XL. They're going to do a Star Wars XL because they've already proven that the 3/4 scale will sell and that retailers want it and it's in demand. They already have the data to back that up. That's the reason, and that's key because when we get into this later discussion, that's going to come into play with, other future XLs. It's going to have to follow the same criteria. It's going to have to be a successful cabinet, one of their most successful cabinets. Like TMNT was an XL. They're one of their most successful. Star Wars is going to be an XL. That was one of their most successful. So those two are XLs. Now, as far as Smash TV, I don't know if that's going to be an XL yet. I would like to see it be an XL, like with this kind of game deck, like we're seeing here. But they very well could do a 3/4 scale, kind of like a deluxe form factor Smash. That has not been decided yet. So that's still up in the air. But we already know what to expect. What we know, Star Wars XL, TMNT XLs are going to look like. We got a pretty good idea of what these will end up being like. Now, also put a Star Wars pinball on here because they are re-releasing Star Wars pinball at Costco with a new PCB. So they have fixed the overheating issue with the Star Wars pinball, and they're not going to do the Attack from Mars pinball or the Marvel pinball again, but they're going to do the Star Wars with a new PCB. Now, one thing I've learned is they're not going to advertise that it has a new PCB because there's many retailers out there that still have the old Star Wars or have the old pinballs, and they don't have the new PCB. So they don't want to sour that relationship or, do anything that would hurt their retailer's relationship. So they're not going to advertise this. I mean, us hardcores, our fans, people that really follow this stuff are going to know that. But Arcade 1-Up's not going to put it on their social media, and they're not going to put it on their marketing. It's going to look as if it's the same Star Wars as if it was made, 2 years ago. No difference. But that also begs the question, why would someone want to go to Costco to buy this when they can buy it anywhere else and it's been on shelves for the last couple of years? What's going to make them go to Costco to want to buy this one? There really isn't. So they're kind of in a predicament. They don't want to advertise that, it's got a new PCB that doesn't overheat because that'll hurt their retailer relationship. But then they also would like to say something because what's going to incentivize anyone to go to Costco to buy the new pinball? So it's kind of a unique situation, a tough situation for them. There was some talk about a reskin of this new Star Wars pinball. And from what I'm getting, that's not happening. It is the same skin. And again, why we get a lot of the same skins? Why do we get a lot of the same games lists on these games? Like we saw with PacMan XL, it has the same exact games list as the previous PacMan. You would think they would want to throw in an extra game or maybe two, right? Well, the reason that is the same reason they don't want to reskin Star Wars. Development costs. Okay, development costs are what it takes to get in contact with these licensors, to negotiate these licenses, to get them to, say it's okay and allow them to do it. All that takes time, money, effort, and they want to reduce that. So how they reduce that is they reuse what they already have. So if they have a games list on a PCB and we see an XL next year, it's likely to have the same PCB with the same games lineup or the same artwork, because if they reuse those things, they don't have to pay any more development cost on those costs, right? So that factors into everything we're going to see next year and probably everything for quite a while. And I'm going to explain why it's going to be like this for a while. So let's get in to what's not coming on this list and why they're not coming. And let me get my notes out because I've got all this stuff written down and I'm just going to have my head down quite a bit while I read some of this stuff to you guys, unfortunately, because I can't memorize it all. And I didn't prepare slides for all this stuff. Okay, track and field. Track and Field. When's the last time we've seen a Konami title from Arcade 1-Up? It's been a long time. It's been since X-Men. And why haven't we seen a Konami title since X-Men? There's either one or two reasons, or there's one or the other reason, or both. And that's either their relationship with Konami is soured, it's gone downhill, however you want to put it. It's just not there. It's not a strong relationship anymore with Konami and Arcade 1-Up like it was before. Also, money. They may not be getting the money that they feel they deserve for these titles. Or maybe Arcade 1-Up can't agree on what Konami wants. So there's just money factoring into this licensing relationship, which has kind of ended that relationship for a period of time. And who knows when that's going to come back. It may never come back. They may never get another Konami title ever again. Or they may be able to get it back. But currently, they do not have a licensing agreement with Konami, only on what they've already produced. And they can't make any more of what they've produced. So what you see on shelves or you see on websites is what they've made. And that's all they have as far as Konami. So Track and Field is a long way off. They got a lot of work to do with Konami before Track and Field would ever be a possibility. I also wanted to note, because we had all this Star Wars XL talk, we got into some discussion on the Sega trilogy and what's going on with that. And why wouldn't Arcade 1-Up want to go for Sega trilogy for Star Wars rather than doing the Star Wars XL? Well, of course, development costs, like we just discussed, but also like Konami, Sega, they're having trouble with Sega as a licensor and getting their agreement on being able to produce Sega games. So kind of the same thing that's going on with Konami is also going on with Sega. That's why we haven't seen anything since Golden Axe. And it may be a long time or never again that we see another Sega title. So let's get in. So we went over Track and Field, not likely to come, definitely not coming next year, likely not to come for a long time. What else is not coming next year is Alien versus Predator. The reason that one is not coming is Disney owns the licenses for Aliens versus Predator. And they only want Disney games on their cabinet. Well, that is a real predicament for Aliens versus Predator because it's a Capcom title. And obviously, Arcade 1-Up wants to put more Capcom games on there to make it a Capcom cabinet. And there's really not any Disney games that are going to go along with Alien versus Predator for them to pull, for Arcade 1-Up to want to pull the trigger on Aliens versus Predator. So let's say Disney's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. Put all Disney games on it. Go ahead and do it. Arcade 1-Up doesn't want to do it. They've made the decision they don't want to do it. So could we see an Alien versus Predator in 2024? I mean, it's not coming, according to what I've heard yesterday. But, you know, they could change their mind on that. It sounds like this is more Arcade 1-Up than it is Disney. So if they decide they want to do it and they think they can sell 3,000 units with just AVP on there and nothing else, maybe that's a possibility. You know, not very likely. But as of yesterday, it's not coming. So the next one on the list that's not coming is the Third Strike Street Fighter Alpha. Now, this one's pretty interesting. And the reason why that this one's not going to come is Capcom has not agreed to do any new cabinets with Arcade 1-Up since John D has left. So now they haven't said they're not going to. They just haven't done any yet since John D has left. There's been some licenses that they've handled and actually got some new paperwork on, which was Atari and Midway since John D left. But Capcom is still out there. It's still undetermined if they'll ever come back to Arcade 1-Up. There is still the belief and the possibility that Capcom could forever leave Arcade 1-Up and never come back. So they're not even close to making a Street Fighter 3. They're not even close to making a Street Fighter Alpha. If they wanted to, they can do Street Fighter 2. They can continue to do as many of those as they want. So as long as it's Street Fighter 2, they can do it. So that's why we're seeing that HS-5 Deluxe. The next title is Marvel vs. Capcom XL. Now, with Marvel vs. Capcom XL, it's not likely to come because it doesn't have the community support. So what they've seen with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, we've seen it for the last year. Ever since EVO in 2022, we've seen that there wasn't any community support behind Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The whole reason that they brought Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was because they thought it would be supported by the community, and it wasn't. And they've learned that. So again, like we saw with the Star Wars XL, Star Wars has proven itself. TMNT XL, TMNT has proven itself. PacMan XL, PacMan has proven itself. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has not. So it will not get an XL release at least next year. That could change. You know, I mean, if people all of a sudden really like the game or they really fix the online and we start seeing a bunch of tournaments and people are buying these things, then that may change. And saw here Kevin's comment, no AVP, WTF. Yep. So that's all. That's got more to do with Arcade 1-Up than it does Disney. But I mean, Disney's the one who's giving them, you know, the demand. It's got to have Disney games on there with it. So they're giving them the demand, and Arcade 1-Up's not accepting that demand. SNK. Unico lost SNK. So you guys may be knowing that Unico made the MVSX. They've lost that license. No one currently has the SNK license, not even Arcade 1-Up. And John D., when he was negotiating for SNK before the MVSX was made, he lost out to Unico, I learned. So originally Unico got that license. Arcade 1-Up was bidding for that license as well at the same time. They lost. Unico got it. They've since lost it. So now SNK's looking, or possibly not looking, for anyone to do this right now. And, you know, of course, with John D. gone, that makes all this stuff more difficult. The next one on that list that's not coming is OffRoad. Now, this one I thought was interesting because the license is easy. Actually, the licensing for OffRoad is not an issue whatsoever. They could do it tomorrow if they wanted. They've had a couple of reasons why they're not going to do it this year. One of it is the 2 to 3 wheel. So they've got, you know, the 3 wheel on the original. And then they think, though, it would be wise or a better product. It would sell better if it had 2 wheels. But this is still like an active discussion that's going on behind closed doors of whether or not they're ever going to develop this because they don't know which way to go. They can't make a decision on the final design. But it's appearing that if they do OffRoad, it's going to be a 2-player, not a 3-player. Also, this was a special project by John D. OffRoad was like a personal thing of his that he really pushed for before he left. There wasn't really anyone in Arcade 1-Up that really wanted OffRoad or really thought it was a good idea except for John D. So that's kind of why it was never made, and why it continues to never really get made, is this was really pushed by one person, and that person isn't there anymore. So that's what's going on with that. PacMan Battle Royale. So PacMan Battle Royale is owned by Namco, of course. And the thing about this is it's owned by not just Namco, it's owned by Namco Amusement. And they put these in like Dave & Buster's and like high-end arcades that, you know, make a lot of money. And it's still actively out there. It's still selling to arcades. So they're not really wanting to move into the home arcade market for this title, especially because it's still part of their amusement branch of the company, which goes into like the Dave & Buster's and things like that. So that's their focus, is big money and continuing that cash flow with Battle Royale. They don't want to mess with that right now. You know, kind of like the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's where they're at with this one. They've seen the success of all the Pac-Man with Arcade 1-Up. but they don't want to touch this one yet. They're not ready to mess with it because it's still active, an active license in arcades. And they're still producing new ones. So the last one is 720. Now 720, they think they can only do one game on this because, or it's possible that they could do only one game because of the controls on it. They did say that they could maybe kind of like work with and put a joystick, a different type of joystick or something, and maybe get some other games on there. But it's not something that they're really wanting to push for right now. There's just too much difficulty in trying to determine a games list with 720. And also a big concern of theirs is it going to sell the 3000? You know, is 720 popular enough, or is there enough demand with us, the home arcade community, to buy 3000 720s? You know, that's a really good question. And they're not wanting to take any risks. They're just not. Zero risk right now. So there's like a new motto for 2024 with Arcade 1UP. And this is something behind closed doors that they have in meetings and they discuss on a regular basis. And that's their motto. Let me get that pulled up so I say it right. It is, I have so much stuff here I have to go through to get this information to you guys live right now. Let's see here. I must be getting close to where it's at. Okay, here we go. It is. I wrote it down. And I also have it on my computer, but I'm having a little bit. Oh, here it is. Okay. Low risk, low cost, high reward. All these titles we're looking at here all have high risk, high cost, and possibly low reward. So they don't meet their motto for 2024. Everything that we know is coming next year, Smash TV, TMNT, Star Wars XL, these all meet low risk, low cost, high reward. They meet all the criteria. So it's going to be pretty easy and very predictable for us to know what's going on now with Arcade 1UP moving forward. It's going to be easy for us as content creators, or even you guys out there watching what's coming. They're just going to become more predictable, like I said. Carlo had a really good comment here, so I'm going to kind of break this up and bring up this comment for us, because wanted to see what he had a question on. He goes, John D isn't at Arcade 1UP. I thought you said he still is there, Biggie D. You have inside info here. So yeah, I thought that John D was still with Arcade 1UP, even after it was announced that he wasn't. And then I told you guys his title still says on Facebook that he works at Arcade 1UP. His title still says on Twitter that he works for Arcade 1UP. And I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that when the time is ready, he'll tell us, and I'm going to go with what he tells us. Because there was no official announcement from Arcade 1UP either. So I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, I learned last night, 100%, he's out of the company. He no longer works there. But as far as the inside information, now this is an inside source that I cannot reveal. Under no circumstances can I reveal this information. And one more thing I want to mention on this subject about John D being gone is that there are a lot of other high-level executives with Arcade 1UP that you likely have never seen or don't know of. You don't know their names, that are also on their way out as well. And there's a changing of the guard with Arcade 1UP right now. And, you know, we'll see the Scott Bacharach, the owner. We'll see Cyrus, those people. But there's a lot of people leaving Arcade 1UP right now. It's not just John D. We just know of John D because that's who we know of. But there's many other high-level executives. But it seems like what the people that are leaving the company are going to be the ones that are overqualified now, that make a lot of money, that can probably, you know, just to be frank with you, find better jobs and find more money elsewhere. You know, how can you blame them? So that's where it is as far as that subject. So let's get in here to mistakes, because we went into a lot of mistakes and why we're here, where we are today, and why we have this motto, and why, you know, we're only getting a select number of cabinets next year, and why a lot of these other ones are being scrapped, but were originally being considered. And that was because of a bunch of mistakes that Arcade 1Up made last year. And there's two in particular that amount for most all the mistakes that they made recently, or I would say in the last year, year and a half. And that's going to be NFL Blitz, which, you know, funny enough, you know, I did last week, was NFL Blitz a failure? I did all that without any inside information, just going with my gut, just giving you guys what I thought was factual, right? I didn't know, but these were just my opinions and what I thought. And come to find out, I confirmed my thoughts with this inside source yesterday and found out NFL Blitz was a very large part of their failures recently. And I mean, we saw Travis, you know, Travis spoke about this too. So I guess it's not really new news, and it's not a huge shock to us because we kind of already knew this. So NFL Blitz MVC2. NFL Blitz was overmade. They made way too many of them. They made like 20,000 NFL Blitzes. They also overpaid. They paid for the marketing to have those NFL players come in and promote this product. They had to, you know, work with the NFL for long nights, for, you know, weeks on end, months on end to get the agreement in place, you know, the no late hits, all that stuff that had to be done exactly to the T for them to be able to make it. So they should have pulled the, you know, they should have pulled it back then when they were running into all this difficulty, but they didn't know, you know, things were going good for Arcade 1Up. Everything was looking up. It was like they could do no wrong. So they were oblivious to all these things going on and all these hangups and things that could potentially make it a failure. They weren't even seeing it. They were just moving forward full steam ahead to get this cabinet out. So we know about that. Now, one other one that also was equally a failure and also was a big reason why they made a lot of mistakes was MVC2. And they undersold and they underproduced MVC2. And that was a result of the community support, but also the fact that it just didn't sell well. And they, and a lot of the reason they think that it didn't sell well is they didn't produce enough of them. And they thought if maybe they had produced more at the very start, they would have sold more. But if you guys remember, there was a very limited number of MVC2 cabinets when it released. And it was actually kind of hard to get your hands on one. They were like, there's limited supply, you got to pre-order, and you pretty much had to pre-order to get one. And if they would have just made more of them, they thought, and they would have made them more available, they would have gotten more out before the news of the online hit. Because once the news of the online hit, that's when everything started going downhill. So if they could have gotten those cabinets out to everyone before that happened, they would have sold a bunch more of them, and maybe it wouldn't have been such a failure. Maybe that would have helped them also with the cost of getting the online, you know, up to par as well. They didn't have the money to support the development of fixing that game at that point. So it was a, you know, big failure for them. And they're paying for these mistakes. And that's why there's all these hard decisions coming up. And that's why they have this new motto. And, you know, as long as they follow this, they should never get in this situation again. It should never happen. It's, you know, just do what is 100% low risk, low development cost, and less development cost, low risk. That's what they're looking for on anything going forward. High reward also. They gotta see that it's gonna, if it does succeed, how much money potentially could it make them, right? That's also important. It can't just be a success. It's got to make them money also. It's got to be financially profitable enough for them to not only be successful, but make them money. All right. So now we've talked about the 2024 release list. We've talked about what's coming. We've talked about what's not coming. And we've talked about their mistakes. So now we're getting into some really, I guess, like private type stuff that probably should have never left the company and probably should never be out there, but it is. And, you know, I've done my thinking on this before I present this stuff to you guys to make sure, you know, that I'm not saying anything that could get me in any trouble, because I definitely don't want that happening. So, I guess maybe I should put like an asterisk on this, that this is speculation just for my own sake. So I'll do that. But let's get into this stuff. Okay. So Arcade went up. The state of Arcade went up going into 2024. Like, if you guys remember, I did a state of iArcade right before they went out of business, about a month before they went out of business. Now, believe it or not, I'm doing a state of not iArcade, but Arcade went up going into next year. I never thought I'd be doing this, but I am. So let's look at this stuff. This is some pretty heavy stuff, guys. October 27th, 2020, Disruptive Products Incorporated. I never knew who Disruptive Products Incorporated was. Did you? Also known as Tastemakers. Okay, I know who Tastemakers is. They own Arcade One Up. Received a senior secured credit facility backing an investment by Center Partners, sources said today. That was on October 27th, 2020. Disruptive Products Incorporated, parent company of Tastemakers LLC, creator of Arcade One Up, has received an investment from Center Partners, advisor to Disruptive Products. Current investments, you guys can see Tastemakers there on their website. So I never knew about any of this stuff. This was the CEO's comment at the time. I'm very excited about the next chapter for Disruptive Products and our new partnership with the team at Center Partners, said Scott Bacharach, CEO and founder of Disruptive Products. So what this is if you've ever heard of the term vulture capitalists, that's who these people are. They're vulture capitalists. They go and they look for companies that need money to make products to keep their company going, and to basically give them a head start. Like, this is a startup company, or was in 2020, and they needed some funds to get things going and to grow the company and expand and just move faster than they otherwise would have without this funding. So they accepted this. And of course, this comes at a very high cost. It also, there's a pay up period. There's a contract in which they have to pay up on this. And it's typically anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Well, I've learned that their pay up on this is due at 3 years. So that's coming up next month, guys, next month. So if you guys are wondering why John D's gone, you're wondering why high-level executives are leaving the company. If you're wondering why they're having to do all this low risk, low development cost on any new products coming out, it's because they have a big bill due coming up next month. And this is going to put them in an even rougher situation than they were in before. And they've known this is coming, but the time is here. The money is due. So that's a lot of what and why we can explain why John D and some others aren't going to be there anymore. They're just not going to have the money. And that's their own fault. They took this money, and then we just talked about why they made mistakes and how those mistakes were made. And that cost them a bunch of money that they were probably banking on using to pay them. Now they're going to have to pull that out of money that they were using for other reasons and other purposes that, they were going to use to grow the company. They're now going to have to pay this back and basically start back at square one again. At least that they already have the licenses that they needed. They have a lot of the product that they can just reuse and re-release and rehash. So they do have that. They got something for all this. So we talked about John D. John D's no longer with the company officially. He's gone. We may see on Twitter and Facebook that it still says that he works for Arcade One Up, There's a reason for that. I don't know the reason for that, but that should change towards the end of this year. So around like December of this year, we should see that change but there is a reason, like a specific reason why he has not changed that. It's not because he's still with Arcade 1-Up. There's some other unknown reason why he's doing that. And there is also with him some really good information I'm about to give you guys that I've learned. Okay, so John D's out. So who's going to take over for John D? I think we all know who that is. That's Cyrus. We've been seeing Cyrus in the live streams. We've been seeing Cyrus at the conventions. He's been doing everything that John D used to do. And the reason that is Cyrus was John D's protege. John D taught Cyrus everything he knows. Cyrus did not grow up as an arcade enthusiast. He's not an arcade fan. He's doing a job. This is his job. Okay, guys. John was an arcade enthusiast. He grew up with arcades. He has a passion for arcades. Like that OffRoad project, that was a passion of his. A lot of the cabinets that we've seen in the past were only because of John D, because of his desire to make these things come true. Cyrus does not have that motivation. Cyrus is doing a job. Cyrus is collecting a paycheck. And everything he knows, he learned from John D. Now, Arcade 1-Up believes in Cyrus. They believe he can do it. He learned from the best. But he hasn't proven that yet. He's done Atari since John D's left. He's done Midway since John D's left. But there's still a lot of really important licenses out there that may or may not ever come back to Arcade 1-Up. And that's still up in the air of whether or not that will ever happen. That's like Konami, Capcom, many others. There is another strong relationship that Cyrus has as well, is Raw Thrills, I've learned. He's been able to continue the Raw Thrills relationship on as well. So there's really 3 in total that he has in the bag right now that he can hang his hat on and say that he's done. But there's some really important ones still out there, guys. Konami, Capcom, and one that I learned was Incredible Technologies, Golden Tee. That's another one that they're struggling with that he may never be able to get back for Arcade 1-Up, is Golden Tee. So there's, I gave you guys 3 that he's gotten, 3 that he has not, and there's probably others out there that I could probably figure out later. So Carlo had a pretty good comment here. I just saw Gen X versus Gen Z. Any questions, LOL? So that's pretty spot on right there. But I do like, Cyrus. I think he's a really nice guy. He really, I guess he's good for like these retailers and working with them and, working with these high level executives. I mean, he doesn't say anything bad. He's always thinking about what he's saying. He always knows what to say. And even though it's not the information we want to hear, at least he's not getting himself in trouble. He's not getting Arcade 1-Up in trouble, and that's important to Arcade 1-Up. So let's get in here to another thing that's going on next year in 2024. Another objective or goal of theirs next year is not just this list and those 3 cabinets I gave you, but also they want to have an emphasis on smaller, less expensive products. They want to focus on products that are less, and their target is less than $150. They want to get under that $150 mark. They think that that is the sweet spot. So they're trying to find products that they can sell that are less than $150 that will sell. And this is one of them. This was an example I was given as one of these products that are coming next year. There's going to be others like this that are in this price range. And this is that ActionCade. So the ActionCade is coming next year. It's basically they're selling a control panel for your phone or your tablet, and you'll have a free iOS, Android download to access the games. And you basically use your own device, your own cell phone or your own tablet, hook this controller onto it, and you'll be able to access a lot of arcade games and play those. So kind of like what iArcade was working on before they went bankrupt, Arcade 1UP's going to be doing that. So that's kind of cool. We still don't have what it looks like or anything like that yet. This is all still in development, but it is coming. That's why we saw the trademark on it also. So we kind of knew this already. Now, another thing I wanted to get into with you guys was the Classic Edition cabinets. So I'm always focused on deals and low cost stuff for us out there because I don't have like a ton of money to go spend and, you know, go buy $1,000, $1,500 arcades, you know, or even these $750 Time Crisis cabinets are kind of out of my price range. So I like these classic cabinets. Like this Miss Pac-Man behind me right here, I paid $199 for it, and paid $199 for the Marvel Superheroes. I paid $75 for the Final Fight. All those cabinets I got at extreme savings from Walmart. So I love Walmart. I love the Classic Edition line that they're going to be coming out with. And I've kind of gone over this with you guys a little bit in the past, the last few live streams on this MK2 Classic. That was their first one. And then last week I had told you guys, and this was me just speculating, just a gut feeling that they were going to do a slanted screen Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. Well, I got confirmation that is coming. So we are going to get the Miss Pac-Man and the Pac-Man slanted screen. Basically, the way they look at these, this fits their motto, right? It's low development cost, low risk, high reward with these. These sell really well, actually. And they're in store at all the Walmarts or a lot of Walmarts. You're going to start seeing them in more Walmarts coming up, especially with these new line coming out. And the way they look at it is they just make it shorter. That's what they say in the meetings. They're like, okay, we can just make it shorter. And then we got a classic line cabinet. And that's essentially all they're doing. They're just cutting off the lower half of it, that where you see that riser on the left image. They're just cutting that off, making sure the measurements fit in the riser. That's all they're doing. And then they're taking off the coin door. That saves them some cost. Throwing on the logos for the games, so you know what games you're getting. And then they're taking out the lighting on the marquee. You still get the marquee, but it's not lit. That's getting them into that $299 price range, which is where they want to be. They want to have low-cost items and easy-to-sell items next year. So we got the Mortal Kombat 2. We got the Pac-Man slanted screen. We got the Miss Pac-Man slanted screen, which you see the blue here. It's going to likely be the black, just like the Deluxe. They're basically just cutting off the bottom of the Deluxe cabinets is what they're doing. Now, if they do a blue Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, we may get a blue Classic later, but it'll be the black. I didn't update that image for you guys today. I should have. Hope that blue doesn't throw you off. That should be black. Now, something else I learned, which is really cool, guys, is if you like this HS-5 Deluxe Street Fighter 2, we're also going to get the peasant version of that as well. I was very surprised to hear that. We're going to get a classic line edition Walmart peasant version of the HS-5 Deluxe. So if you guys are thinking about getting this HS-5 Deluxe and you're interested in the classic line, just wait because that's coming. And I'm also going to give you one other piece of inside information on this cabinet that is going to likely help you determine whether or not you should buy it right now. And this probably will kind of hurt Arcade 1UP that I say this, but I'm out there for you guys. You know, I really care about you guys saving money and getting a good deal and getting what you want. That's more important to me, I think, than anything, because you guys are my viewers. And if you guys noticed at, what was it, Evo, that they showed this cabinet off, there was a discoloration between the game deck and the outer piece on there. Let me see if I can pull that up quickly for you guys, because I'm very visual, and sometimes I don't have the time to prepare all this stuff for you guys, but I think it's important that I show you what I'm talking about, because if you don't already know, it'll be really good for you guys to see it. And I think I've got some of Bekong's images from the beginning of last month that I can show you real quick. Here it is, HS-5 Deluxe. Let's see where that game deck is. Man. Oh, here it is. Okay. Here's a good picture. I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. Pull this up for you. I'm going to just change this picture here on the left to what I'm talking about here. Okay, and here it is. And where is it? Okay, right here. It's actually going to be a video, guys, not a picture. Thanks for being patient. All right, there it is. There you can see it, guys. Okay, so you've got this little piece that fits on the control panel on the end, and that it makes it extend farther out. Gives you more hand room. It also makes it look and appear more like a dynamo cabinet. But you can see the discoloration between that outer piece and the game deck. I've heard it's not as obvious in person as it is in these videos or in these pictures. But unfortunately, this has not been fixed prior to these shipping. These have already shipped. These have already arrived. They're already sitting in a warehouse, ready to go. So next month, these are going to ship in October. I heard Cyrus and Travis say they don't know when this is going to release, which I found strange because they were advertising at Evo it was going to release in October. It was on their marketing material at Evo. So I already knew it was coming in October, but I confirmed it is going to come in October. These have already arrived. That discoloration on the game deck cannot be fixed. So if you're okay with that and you can live with that, then buy it. But they only made 2,000. Okay, so there's only 2,000 available out there. And those 2,000 are going to have the discoloration issue. Now, like any other cabinet, what they're doing, and we saw this with Time Crisis, they only made 3,000. Once they know that those 3,000 will sell, they're going to make more. Same thing they're doing with the Street Fighter CE HS-5 Deluxe. They only made 2,000 of these, and those 2,000 have to sell before they make more. But they've already decided if they make more, they can fix this issue on the next run, the next batch. So just know that, guys. If you're interested in this cabinet and you don't like the discoloration, wait out and just cross your fingers that this thing sells 2,000. That's your best hope. And Papa Brad's Gaming, man, I really appreciate you supporting the channel and sending over the $2. That's going to really help in me getting this DJI mic that I need for Cleveland here in a few weeks. So I really appreciate the $2, Papa Brad. Goes a long way. And he said supporting the consumers and the viewers is what counts. And that's so true. And that's my thought on everything is even when I get some of this information, maybe Arcade 1Up doesn't want me to tell you guys some of this stuff. And maybe it's even risking my relationship with this source. But I feel it's more important for me to give you guys the facts to help you guys make a good buying decision than it is for me to hold that back. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that I'm holding that back. And you guys are going out there and spending your hard-earned money on something not knowing this when I knew it. So I'm going to let you guys know stuff like that. So let's go ahead and run the Super Chat video. Appreciate that, Papa Brad. All right, so on this one as well, I think I have tell you guys with this HS-5 that I had found. So we're getting the classic line. The discoloration issue will be on the first 2,000 units that have already shipped. They have not determined if they're going to make more yet. When they do, sounds like they have the ability to fix the discoloration. Too late. Next run, yes. If there is another run, question mark. Those are my notes. Already shipped. So that should be pretty clear on that. Now, another thing that I'd learned is Atari 50th has already gone to the retailers. And I think we learned this too when we saw, if you guys watched the Garage Gamer this week, he did a live stream from PAX West. And we also learned that Atari 50 is going to be a retailer soon. So on the 4th, tomorrow, is the last day. You'll see it on the Atari website. And then after that, starting on the 5th, you're going to see it at retailers. I don't know which retailers that'll be yet. If I had to guess, I would say Best Buy, Walmart, and maybe some other online retailers like Kohl's and stuff like that. But we are going to, there's a bunch of Atari 50ths out there, I've heard, and they're going to be readily available. You're not going to have a hard time finding them. Jason, man, that's awesome. He just sent over $5. And I apologize about your avatar. I did go in and I uninstalled the plugin for Google or the extension. And I went and reinstalled it again. And you can notice even the colors are different on my super chats and my messages I'm bringing up on the screen. I messed with it, and I messed with it up until the moment I hit live today, trying to fix that for you, Jason. I was going in, I was bringing up your messages, trying to see if I could fix it. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more troubleshooting to figure out why your avatar isn't coming up, and it's got a broken link. But I'm sure I can figure that out. I work in IT, so I'll figure that out hopefully by next stream. But I super appreciate the $5. That goes a really long way, Jason. Let's go ahead and run that video or a DJI mic. All right. So on the Atari 50th, will it do well, right? 2024 predictions. So that I didn't make slides on this stuff, guys. I kind of wanted to wing it on some of this stuff because I feel like you guys get better opinions and better results when I just wing some of these notes and stuff. When I get too prepared, I seem to actually lose some of my momentum. So actually, I talked to Steps today and got some opinion and some feedback from her. And some of the stuff I'm going to be doing with you for the rest of the stream, if I've got some more information I'm going to give you, it's just winging it. I didn't really prepare some of this. But Steps Gaming sent over $2, $1.99. Really appreciate that $2, Steps. That means a lot. And I promise you that it will go towards my mic and going towards the channel. So hopefully if you're hopefully you're in Cleveland, but if you're not and you're watching, hopefully I'm using that DJI mic because of you. So let's go ahead and run that video. But it's sounding like Steps may make it to Cleveland. I hope she does. But if she doesn't, you know, we'll be thinking of her when we're there. But the $2, that really goes a long way, Steps. I appreciate that. Papa Brad said, I put my money into the Atari 2600 Plus. I want to see what they come up with. And also, Papa Brad sent over another super chat, a full $5. That is huge. I appreciate that, man. He said, more mic money. Please do not run the video. I cannot wait to see you covering the next big event with great sound. We got you. I won't run the video for you for that because you had requested it. And yeah, that mic's going to be huge, guys. Because when I'm out and about, I'm doing like the walk and talks at the arcade, or I'm at a convention, I can actually go and talk to the owner of the arcade, or I can talk to the people at these booths, and I can get interviews in and get questions in, and you guys can hear that. Where before I wasn't really able to do that. I didn't have a way. So no interviews. That's why you guys see my convention videos and my walk and talks. I'm not ever interviewing anyone because I don't have the equipment to do it. But all this super chat money is going to go towards that. It's about $300, $350. I'm only at about $100, I think, not even yet with super chats. But even if I haven't gotten the full 350, I'll probably just go ahead and charge it and get the mic before Cleveland, and then, you know, just continue to collect super chat money until it's paid off. And I'll always inform you guys on what I'm spending that money on, because I want you guys to know that. I think that's important. So these are 2024 predictions. These are predictions from my source that we discussed last night. So something I found out, which was very interesting, is MK2 sells better than Street Fighter. Would you believe that? I did not know that. I thought they would sell equally, or maybe Street Fighter would sell better than MK. I didn't know that MK was like far and ahead, one of their best cabinets. PacMan's their best, but MK's right behind it. And Street Fighter is actually far behind MK. Very surprising to hear that. But so MK2 or MK1 XL or Deluxe? That's a question they're asking themselves behind closed doors right now. Do we make an MK2 XL, or do we make an MK1 XL or an MK1 Deluxe? That's the question. And, you know, my thought on that is I like the MK1 artwork the best. I think it looks the best. You know, if it weren't for the 30th having that horrible screen, it would have sold. There would have been nothing stopping it. The only reason we really got the MK2 artwork again was that it was so poorly sold with that TN monitor, the MK30th was, that they never ended up going back to the MK1 artwork. But now they're back into consideration. That's back into the talk again. So maybe when they do the MKXL, it'll be MK1 artwork. Or maybe they go the route, and it sounds like that they may do another Deluxe, because that's the safer bet. That's the safer option for them. Less risk, higher reward. If they go with the XL, they could do that. They're going to take on a little bit more risk, a little bit more cost up front, but it may have a greater reward. But then they're still left with that predicament: which artwork do we choose? So that's our number one prediction for 2024. Number two is the Peasant Cades. Think Peasant Cades. That's going to be a big focus next year for Arcade 1-Up. I told you guys in the earlier slides, just reiterating that again. Classic Peasant Cades, that's on their minds. Lowering the cost of these cabinets are very important to them right now. Number three, Smash TV XL or Deluxe. And also with that, I have a note on MVC2 XL. We already discussed that. Probably not likely they'll do an MVC2 XL, but they are discussing the Smash TV. Do they do it in a Deluxe form factor, or they do it on an XL? And I think I'd mentioned that on the first slide as well. So I'm just reiterating that again for you. Number four prediction, OffRoad. It's a 2-player, not a 3-player. So if you guys are going to see an OffRoad, predict and just think 2-player. Number five, if Arcade 1-Up was smart, they would do a Defender XL. And if they do a Defender XL, they do it with the accurate controls. They pay the higher development cost to remove the Mortal Kombat games. So it would actually cost them money to remove games off their list. So they take MK games off so they can use more authentic controls, but it costs them more money to remove those games. Can you believe it? Number six, more variants to Shop Hippo. So they're going to have a focus on sending Shop Hippo like exclusive variants of cabinets. So like if they do a Defender XL, it may be a Shop Hippo exclusive. And they may only do like 3,000 of them. And you know how we used to see Arcade 1-Up do the direct-to-consumer with these types of products, and they would take on all that responsibility themselves? They're going to quit doing that, and they're going to shift that onto Shop Hippo. That way they're taking less risk. Number seven, Blue Miss PacMan XL will come if PacMan XL sells well. So if the PacMan XL sells, the PacMan in blue, Miss PacMan in blue will come. It will 100% come. Now, what I found very interesting about this is, well, and I asked the question, how long is it going to take you guys to determine if something is sold well or is a success or a home run? You know, when can you determine that? And I found out it's a very short period of time. It's only 2 to 3 weeks. So PacMan XL is already about a week in. Here in about 2 weeks, Arcade 1-Up will be able to make the determination of whether or not they're going to move forward with a blue Miss PacMan XL. So very cool. It's only a 2 to 3 week time frame, and they've already determined whether or not it's a success or a failure. And on that note, they've already determined, get this, already determined that Time Crisis is a failure. The reason why is Time Crisis, with the development costs that they had, should have sold out within the first day. First day it went on pre-order. They, as of speaking to him or her yesterday, we were already at the point where Arcade 1-Up has already determined that Time Crisis is a failure. And that was because they had already predetermined that if it did not sell out in the first day, it would be a failure. So we may very well never see another Time Crisis cabinet get made. The 3,000 that are out there may be it. Number 8, no Capcom, no Golden Tee, no Konami, because no John D. Now that could change if Cyrus can pick up the slack and fill that void and impress these licensors. But what I've learned from this is it's a very small group. Very small group these licensors are. And they are very tight-knit group of people. They do not really accept outsiders or accept new faces in this group very often. They have to be very impressed by them to allow that. And with John D. gone, who was part of this group, Cyrus has not yet made it into this group. So he has the attention of some people in this group because of our Atari and Midway and also Raw Thrills. But that was really based on a lot of the work that John D. did. They've already since determined or found out that Capcom is not going forward with them. Golden Tee is not going forward with them. Konami is not going forward with them, but could later on. They're on the fence right now. And the more time that goes on, the harder it becomes. So there's a lot of pressure on Cyrus right now to make this happen. And especially these three, Capcom, Golden Tee, and Konami. All eyes are on him right now to see if he can make this happen. And we all know with Capcom and John D's history with him and Capcom. So that's probably going to be the hardest one of the three. But who knows? You know, I mean, you know, we really don't know. All we know are the facts, which they don't have them right now. They've had the opportunity to get them since John's left, and they haven't done it or haven't been able to make it happen. Number 9 for predictions next year. No Pac-Man Battle Royale, because Namco Amusements is still actively selling them. I went through that with you guys on an earlier slide. Number 10 prediction for 2024. Rare leaving is a signal to licensors are not exclusive. So something that they learned with Rare and the Killer Instinct in particular, leaving Arcade 1-Up to go to At Games this year, has opened the door for all licensors to know and feel like they don't have to be exclusive to Arcade 1-Up anymore. It's just, you know, opening up their mind to the fact that it is possible that these major licenses will leave Arcade 1-Up for other companies or maybe no company at all. And this is a signal to all the other licensors with this Rare situation. So Arcade 1-Up is very concerned about the future of their licenses, and in particular the Rare and them going to At Games. So those are all very good information right there. Let's see if there's anything else that I'm missing here that I need to tell you guys tonight. Don't expect 2 molds. expect 2 different skins, one Robotron, one Smash TV. So same mold, same control deck, different skins. But we'll have the option. You know, I've always talked about options. We need options as customers. That's what's gonna drive sales for Arcade 1-Up. They're listening. We're gonna get our first. Well, I guess we got an option with Street Fighter because we got the Yoga Flame, we got the Shinku Hadouken. So I guess this isn't completely new, but they haven't done it often. So this is cool. Robotron Smash TV. There'll be 2 skins. 2024 is pivotal. Arcade 1-Up cannot make any mistakes. 0 mistakes next year on anything they release. Star Wars Pinball. Why release more? I would say the reason they're releasing more is probably because they want to fix what they did wrong and see how that goes. You know, they want to fix that PCB on a limited number of these, see how those go, and then kind of reassess, redetermine, do we make more pinballs in the future? Casinocade, Miss Pac-Man, Atari, 50th, not home runs. Any of these can fail, and that will be determined within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So Casinocade's getting very close to their determination on it. Miss Pac-Man will be coming up. Atari 50th will be coming up. Again, none of these are home runs. Even a Miss Pac-Man is not a home run in their eyes. Disruptive Products, parent company to Tastemakers. We went over that. That's huge. That's like breaking news, unheard of. Like, we've not heard any content creators talk about that. You're hearing it first here tonight. And then that 3-year advance. So all this stuff, guys, I mean, this is like mind-blowing, a lot of this stuff. You guys are probably still trying to take in a lot of what I've just told you over the last hour and 20 minutes. And still trying to assess everything that I went over. So, you know, it may be next week before we really get to really kind of break this stuff down even more. But I'm sure we'll hear a lot about it this week from other people. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of content creators out there trying to guess who my source is. And a lot of them trying to, you know, ruin that situation for me. But, you know, obviously they've listened in my channel. They've watched me. They see that I do really good things and that a lot of my predictions, a lot of my speculation has been really spot on. And they wanted to reach out and they wanted to help the channel. And that's why this live stream went the way it went today. And I kind of just give you guys this overload of information. And then we'll see how the next, you know, few weeks go. If this continues and I continue to work with them. I think a lot of what's going to happen is going to be based on tonight and them watching this live stream tonight or tomorrow or Tuesday when they get to the office and determining, should we continue to work with Biggie D's Arcade? Did he do us justice with what we've given him? You know, those kind of things are going to be important. So we'll see. I mean, I just really have fun on this channel. I like to have a good time. I like to have a place, an outlet for our community to come and chat and talk home arcades. We didn't really get to do that the way we normally do tonight because of all this information, but it was important for me to get that stuff out there to you guys. Also, with this as well is, like I said, I can't reveal the source under any circumstances, so don't even ask. What else? There's a lot of rumors out there. There's a lot of stuff going on because, like I said, October 2023 is like the close of their fiscal year. And that's also when the bill is due on this venture capitalist money. So they're probably seeking new ways to do things too. That's probably why I'm involved in some way now, is they're trying new things. What they've been doing hasn't been working. So hope you guys have enjoyed this stuff. Let's get into like a more normal live stream now for the rest of our time tonight and just get into like some closing thoughts and things that are not related to this source and what I discussed last night. Jason said here, he goes, let me bring his chat up. Biggie D's Arcade, you have a line on the reskin of the Atari 50th. If it's going to be the next few months, I bet. Yeah, a new skin would be great. I saw the one at PAX West on the live stream, and the more I see it, on the live stream, I'm less disgusted by how bad it looks. I think it looks a little bit better, you know, on the live stream. Maybe in person, I'll be a little more impressed with it. But it is a pretty cool looking cabinet. I've actually got a slide here coming up for that too. Biggest party ever. He says the first day sellout could have happened, but only for the right price. Exactly. Biggest party ever. Arcade 1UP sees that now. $6.99 should have been the price. They went with $7.50. They see that as a mistake already. It's already been determined. Thor KC says they really didn't need to waste all that time and money and potential. Any one of us could have told them straight up, people don't want to pay $7.50 for one game on a tiny monitor. Exactly. So they may have screwed the pooch on that. May never see another Time Crisis ever again. Let's see here. Thor KC says, gee, let me think. For the same price, I could get either Time Crisis and Point Blank on a 17-inch monitor, or an Xbox Series X and a 50-inch 4K HD TV. Man, when you put it that way, Thor, man, just incredible how much we spend on these home arcades. And that's a focus of Arcade 1UP. They want to get that price down. So starting next year, look at less expensive products, lower price tags, the end of these high-priced items, or as low as they can make them. So let's talk here. I've got a few things I want to discuss, and maybe I'll get into some more chats here to close out the stream, but I want to get through these last few closing thoughts. So this is Zabo's Arcade. I told you guys I had ordered this thing. I think I ordered it about 6 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, Joe emailed me because I emailed him asking, where's it at? He said it'll be about 2 more weeks. Then I emailed him again last week, and I didn't get a response. I waited 3 days, and I emailed him kind of like a straightforward, get back to me now kind of message. And he immediately responded, and he said, I'm going to have it out to you by the end of the week. This was on Thursday of this week. And so he got it out yesterday, or no, Friday, 2 days ago, and it's already been shipped. I've already got a tracking number, and it should be here on Tuesday. So if you guys are working with Zabos and he's taking too long, just email him, push him. He may get your order out a little earlier. He's probably got a lot of orders where people aren't bothering him. And when that happens, he'll probably put you at a priority if you just reach out to him. It worked for me. So I'll get my KI here in a couple weeks, or on Tuesday, I mean, and I'm going to put it in here. But I'm going to start looking at getting a lot more of these. I'm actually made the decision. So I want my Miss PacMan to have a lit marquee. I want my Marvel superheroes to have a lit marquee. And I've got a Final Fight upstairs that I want a lit marquee on. So how I'm going to do this, because these were all the peasant versions that came with the wood marquee. So I found this OEM marquee, class of 81. I paid $65 shipped for it on eBay this week. I'm going to throw this in my Miss PacMan, and it'll kind of fit the look of the Miss PacMan while I order the Zabos. And with these marquees, they're super easy. You just take a blow dryer to it and peel the sticker off, and then you put the slip-on over it. And I'm going to get the black Miss PacMan slip-on for it. So it is $65 for the OEM marquee and $65 for the slip-on marquee. So I paid $110 to get a really cool looking marquee on my Miss PacMan. I'm going to try and do the same thing. I'm shopping another one of these OEM marquees for my Marvel superheroes. They're around $80, $85 right now, I'm finding. If I find one at around $30, $35 with $20, $25 shipping, like I did this one, then I'll just keep doing that, and I'll get lit marquees in all mine. I think that's the way to go. I've gone far too long with no lit marquee, and I'm just tired of it. I want to get that full feel. And I also heard on this subject too, I heard Mike B mention it. He goes, man, that guy, he has no lit marquees on all his Arcade 1UPs. How does he do that? And he didn't say me specifically, but I think he was talking about me, and I listened. And he's right. You know, I should have lit marquees. So PAX West started on Friday, and it goes till tomorrow. So it's actually, if you're in Seattle or in the Northwest, go to PAX because Arcade 1-Up is there. They're in the Atari booth and they're showing off the Atari 50th. It looks like this. Told you guys it didn't look very good. But last week, I didn't know what the 2600 games list was. So I just wanted to pull that up for you guys because I was interested in finding out what are the 2600 games that we're getting. And this is it. There's some in there that I recognize, but a lot of these I don't. I didn't grow up with an Atari. So I don't really have any nostalgia for a lot of these games or even really remember them. But I do like Missile Command. I like Crystal Castles, of course. Those are two of my favorite. Tempest is a really good one too. But these others I've never heard of. So we'll see. Oh, Asteroids is in there. But a lot of these just like generic ones, like miniature golf, backgammon, basketball, blackjack, bowling. A lot of these are just like generic games. So if you like these kind of games, these 2600, you're going to get a ton of them on this Atari 50th. Also, just want to remind you guys again, Cleveland is coming up. It's coming up on the 22nd. So we're less than 3 weeks now from this starting. So we're really getting close now and really looking forward to going. I know we're going to go to Pastime Arcades, going to go to the convention. Also, I've been speaking to some friends that are going to be there, and we're talking about going to the Christmas Stories house. They got a tour of the Christmas Story house where that was filmed. So we're going to check that out. And then also the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you guys are out there and you guys watch the channel, let me know. I've got the contact form on my website. Let me know you're going to be out there, and I'll try to get you guys included with whatever we're planning or doing out there. But it's going to be really fun. Looking forward to it, guys. So let's spend here. We've been on an hour and 30 minutes. We'll go for about 10 more minutes, and I'll just bring up some comments here because I've kind of neglected y'all's comments tonight in sake of getting through all this information. But I just want to pull up some here of some regular viewers, especially just to say hi. Donnie B, he says MK4XL. Absolutely. It looks like that is in talks, but it's not close. It may happen in 2024, but it's all determined based on the sell of MK. So it's, those MK cabinets have to sell well. And like even that classic MK that's going to Walmart, if that sells well, that will help them in their determination of making an XL. Everything has to be 100%. It's got to be without a doubt, no questions asked, that it will do well. And they're not to that point with MK yet, which they're getting very close. They're at that point with PacMan. They're extremely close with Miss PacMan, still not there. And they're getting there with MK. That kind of gives you a good gauge of where they're at on the XLs right now. Also mentioned Star Wars XL. That's obviously coming next year as well. And Smash TV may be an XL. They may end up going with the deluxe on that one because it fits their rule and the way they want to do things. And then that TMNT is going to be an XL as well. But again, TMNT's proven itself. So we've covered all that. Matt Astor Gaming has said Cyrus had a lot of comments about the future MK on Garage Gamer's live stream the other day. I heard it. Yes. Let's see here. Andy's Game Room. He says, I'd settle for a Defender Deluxe if it had the right controls. Yeah, that's what my source said. If they were smart, they would do a Defender XL or just do a Defender with the proper controls. Then get rid of those MK games on there. That's word for word. Smash TV, 4 sticks. Better be an XL if they're going to ask more than $599 for it. Yeah, you got the 4 sticks on that game deck. XL is going to benefit the most. We saw with the Burger Time, it had the 4 on that small 3/4, and it didn't really look right. It just kind of looked off. So you get the XL, that huge game deck on there, it'll look better. Let's see here. Papa K 3.0 going to have some XLs, question mark. I saw Papa Brad is actually getting rid of his arcade 1-ups. He's made the decision to sell his arcade 1-ups, but he's saying the Defender Party Cade survived. I guess because that one you just can't live without. So hopefully Arcade 1-Up is listening. You're a big buyer of their product. you're selling off all that product because you don't want it anymore, but you're keeping Defender. So Arcade One Up, I know you're listening right now, or maybe in Tuesday morning, look at Papa Brad's comment. That should be a good reason to do it. And even my source that works with you guys said you would be smart to make it. But it has to be with the proper controls. It has to be with those authentic, accurate controls. Miss PacMan will be a Costco follow-up. Yep, probably. They did the PacMan XL, so you would think if they do the Miss PacMan XL, maybe it'll go to Costco, you would think. Donnie B, he had asked me about castles and coasters if I'd been back there. I'm concerned they only have one MK2 cabinet when they used to have 1 or 4. Yeah, I know they're making a lot of room for pinballs. I know Retro Ralph plays a large part in like advising for castles and coasters on what they want or what they should get. And I think there's a big push for them to get a lot of very new Raw Thrills titles in there. And then a very big push to get some Stern brand new pinballs in there. And how they pay for that is they sell off their older retro cabinets. And over time, I think their retro section will get smaller and smaller. The modern will get bigger and bigger at castles and coasters because that's where the money's at. You know, they want to make money like Dave and Buster's. And in order to do that, they have to follow that same business model. Matt Astor Gaming says Cyrus keeps saying club store exclusive as opposed to just Costco. So I think Sam's Club may get one sometime soon. Facepalm with Cyrus, because this brought something up for me. And it wasn't you, Matt Astor. It was all about Cyrus. So Cyrus said that the Atari 50th is a collaboration cabinet. It is not a collaboration cabinet. Arcade One Up has been working on the 50th for well over a year, and they meant to release it during the 50th anniversary. Everyone's asking, why are they releasing it a year later? And Cyrus is trying to put a spin on it, saying it's a collaboration cabinet, and this is when they collaborated on it, and that's untrue. That's false information. So if you guys are hearing that, call him out on it. It's not a collaboration cabinet. Let's hear what he has to say to that. All right. Goofy Foot says, you can't sell the Defender Partycade, Papa Brad. If you do, I'm calling first dibs. Carla said, once Spider-Man comes out on the PS5, I'll be away from the arcade for a little while. Same with me. You know, when Zelda came out, I neglected my arcades for a very long time, for a couple of weeks. I put over 100 hours into Zelda before I officially said, I got to take a break. And that'll probably be what happens with me and Spider-Man. I've played through all of Spider-Man 1. I'm at the ending of Miles Morales. I've actually picked back up Miles Morales recently with the release of the new Spider-Man. And I've got all the way to the ending where when you enter, it says this is the end of the game. I just haven't beat that part of it yet. So I'm very close to finishing that. And I'll make sure I do. And that'll be a day one purchase for me, the Spider-Man. I don't know if I'm going to get the controller and all that, but I'm going to get the game. Thor says 17-inch monitor for 750 is going to fail every time. Yeah, they've learned, and I can confirm for you guys tonight that the 750 was overpriced. They know that. If they had it to do over again, they would have done it at $699, and it would have done the way they thought it was going to do. It would have sold out in a day or two. Carlo says Cyrus fly to Chicago and talk to Incredible Technologies. He needs to get on the phone with them, and he needs to impress them. He needs to take them out to like a really expensive dinner, because the longer and more time that goes, the harder it's going to become for them to get that license back. It's because the longer the time goes, the more Incredible Technologies thinks they made the right decision. Jason says, do what Zen wants finally and release downloadable titles or tables. Kevin says, so with all the execs leaving, then they must be selling the company. That brings up a good point. Now, I didn't mention the selling of the company, but that is being talked about. I can confirm that. There is talk of selling the company. The reason that they're not going to sell the company, and the reason they don't think it's smart to sell right now, is you don't sell when you're down or when you're low. It doesn't make any sense. don't benefit from doing that. Their ideal situation is to get this stuff under control, to recover from their failures and their mistakes, to use this new motto to do low risk, high reward, little investment, development costs. And they hope that that's going to get them back to profitability, and they can get out from under these vulture capitalists, and they can then sell the company. So they are planning on selling. They just don't know when that will be or when the right time will be. They're not yet in the position they have to sell. They still have the decision to make on when they want to sell and when they think the ideal time is. But that is on the mind of we know who. And that time may come at some point, depending on how everything goes. You know, if everything goes really bad, they're going to have to sell, obviously. If everything goes really well, they get to kind of think about it a little bit more and kind of pick the right time to make the most amount of money on the sell. But that is coming. It is coming. We will see a new owner at Arcade Went Up before sooner rather than later. Mad Astra Gaming, crap. I have to get up for work in 6 hours. You got to work in 6 hours? Wow. That sucks. I hate that you have to work on Labor Day. But sometimes, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And maybe you get other days off because you get Labor Day, or you have to work Labor Day, hopefully. Let's see here. Gregory says, we all know it's John D. Like I said, I cannot reveal the source. All I can tell you is John D no longer works for Arcade One Up. So I don't know how I would be able to get this information from a John D because he doesn't work there, and he hasn't worked there for quite a while now, about a month. Kevin Clausen says $5.99 Time Crisis would have sold out. Let's see here. Steps Gaming says, I tried to get the Defender Partycade during the charity stream, but no dice. And I'm not paying $300 plus for a Defender Partycade. They are dumb, and they didn't do more of that. And Carlo brings up Starfield. So I'm very happy with the way Starfield looks. I'm going to get it for my PC. I don't have an Xbox, but I do have a gaming PC that I do my streaming on. I used to play video games on this gaming PC, but ever since I started using it primarily for streaming, I've kind of quit using it as a gaming PC. But this Starfield may be worthy of using those resources and this hardware for that game because it looks really good. And I'm big into space travel and sci-fi and all that stuff. So I think this game's right up my alley. I love all the Bethesda games. You know, I love Fallout. It's one of my favorite. So I think I'm going to be really happy with Starfield. I'm going to be one of those games I'm probably going to pay a high price for. And I don't like the Game Pass. I don't want to pay monthly because sometimes I take really long breaks from console gaming and I'll play just arcades for like weeks on end. I won't even touch a console. So I don't really want to get the Game Pass. I'll probably just buy the game outright. Jason says Cyrus needs to head to Saudi Arabia to woo SNK. I'd love to be a fly on the wall during those negotiations. LOL. Yeah, so SNK is going to be a tough one. They're not with any home arcade company right now. Now that brings up another thing, guys. There's a lot of not speculation. This would be like I guess thought and talk about, you know, a new player in home arcade. Arcade Went Up behind closed doors think that there's going to be another company come into this space to compete with them. And they're worried about that, especially in the situation they're in right now with everything I've discussed with you guys tonight. But there very well could be a big player coming into home arcade in the near future. And they don't know who that will be, but they think that it could happen. And they're worried that John D maybe could be a part of that. So it's just something that they're talking about. Also, I had asked about that because that brings up something else. The New Wave Toys XL, they're aware, or the 3/4 scale, I'm sorry. They're aware of all this. And they think it's likely that next month, New Wave Toys is going to release a 3/4 scale. And they believe that it's likely to be the Q*bert. The reason is they decided not to do Q*bert long ago. they had no indication that Qbert would ever sell 3,000 units. And they get asked all the time, why don't they do Qbert now? Well, they ask themselves, why now? It never happened before. Why are they going to now change their minds and do Qbert now? So they're okay with New Wave Toys doing a Qbert, in fact. But Qbert is not a title or a game that Arcade 1-Up thinks will sell enough. They just don't see it or ever thought that it would do well. And they think that same thing for New Wave Toys. They think that they are going to do one, but it's going to be like a Kickstarter where all of us are going to pay up front for this, and we're going to fund their development of the Qbert 3/4 scale cabinet. And it's going to be very limited. It's going to be like 500 units, maybe less, that they make on the initial run. And they'll never be a big player in home arcade until they grow. They're a very, very small company. They're like a speck on the map when it comes to home arcade right now. So they're not worried about them in the least bit. They're not worried about them doing a 3/4 scale in the least bit. And they're already predicting or know what it's going to be. It's going to be Qbert. So if you guys are wondering out there if that's coming, it's looking like it probably is. And there was one other thing on that that I wanted to mention as well. At Games. At Games is very small. I learned as well. They've only made they do like the At Games Legends Ultimate, or they do the pinball. Did you guys know they only sell about 10,000 units of those? So those aren't really big sellers either in comparison to what Arcade 1-Up does. So they're not too worried about John D going to At Games either, because they don't think that At Games is a big enough competitor to them or take anything away from them in what they're doing. So they're not too concerned about At Games either. Let's see here. Rocky says Cyrus trying to will and deal. Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll see. Cyrus has got a lot to prove, and we'll know here, probably by the end of the year whether or not, he's able to get any of these licenses back. Now that John D's gone, and we'll see, how that goes into next year. I mean, we'll know what's happening because we won't see these cabinets coming. And we'll be asking, Cyrus, now that we know, who he is, where he came from, who he learned from, what he has, what he's trying to get, we'll be able to ask those good questions, those hard questions now, where before we were unaware and we were just kind of going with the flow. Let's see here. Any other comments I want to bring up? Carlo says, I didn't even know it was Sunday, but I have been retired for 4 years, August 30th. Wow, that's a big accomplishment, Carlo. 4 years of retirement. That's really cool. Just having a good time, away from work, loving life, playing your arcades. That sounds like a great retirement. And Jason says, days of the week start to look like Frogger Vaseline filter. All right. Funded. Okay, so Goofyfoot's talking about he'll fund the Qbert if they do it. Many will. I know it's going to be huge. But I was very happy to hear that they think it's likely, because that just means more things are falling into place that's going to happen. Arcade 1-Up, I was worried we're going to prevent New Wave Toys from making a Qbert. In fact, they're all about it. They don't really care. So, Carlos says, At Games could buy a 1-Up. They have a lot more money than you think. So, yes. Now, when I said that At Games was a small company in comparison to Arcade 1-Up and the amount of units they produce, that doesn't mean that At Games doesn't make a lot of money. They do make a lot of money. And there's other ways that they do that. And I'm not enough of an expert to get into that. I know there's others in the community that are, but there are ways that At Games makes money, and they are very profitable. But the point of it was they're not worried about John D going to At Games, and they're not worried about At Games as a competitor to them, because their product is different and they just don't make enough of the product that is similar to theirs for them to even be a worry of theirs. So I guess that's going to wrap it up, guys. We're at an hour and 47 minutes. It's been a long stream. Got a lot of information out there. I'm going to dig deeper into this stuff next week. Hopefully my source continues to work with me and we continue to get this information, because it helps us make better decisions when we buy these products. It helps us make better decisions on, helping them decide on what's coming, because we want to give our input on what they, have coming. So there's a lot of that's going to benefit from my relationship with this source, and our entertainment on this channel will still be there. I'm still going to have a focus on you guys in the chat. I'm still going to have a focus on, my other stuff I got going on, fun stuff I want to talk about. I don't want it to all be news. I don't want it to all be, this stuff. I want to branch off and talk about other things too. So just know that stuff's coming. Tonight was all arcade one up, but I'll continue to focus on games, new wave toys, my PlayStation 5, my Switch, my PC, everything. So a lot of gaming on this channel, but a lot of arcade one up right now. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. If you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments after the stream is over. Or if you're rewatching it, put those questions in the comments. I'll respond. Sometimes I'll post a video or a live stream and I don't respond to the comments. That's just because I'm really busy. I'll try to put an emphasis on responding to all the comments on this live stream. I'll give you guys my word that I will try to do that, because all this is very important information I've covered tonight, and I want it to be clear, and I want to answer your questions. Also, if you guys have not liked the stream, like it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Would love to earn your subscription. And I'll see everyone in the next video or the next live stream. And we got tomorrow off, so maybe I'll be on tomorrow. But you guys have a good Labor Day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.